a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for October 3rd, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, acquisition season finally came for your boy. Finally happened. They finally came for me, Mike. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Mike Minotti.
Wow, damn, Jeff, I almost had a heart attack. You didn't warn me that there was a new spooky intro.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got all those pumpkins coming right at you. Yes. I mean, if you want, if that's not realistic enough for you, I could just come to you and throw pumpkins at you. Would that be better?
Yes, I would like that.
Yeah, I would like that. I would like that a lot. It'd be very. Mike, how are you doing?
Good. I had a very nice weekend. I got to go to the Guardians game on Saturday with my younger brother and his family. So it was the young kids' first game. So that was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There's a storyline, Jeff, involving the hot dog race all season where we have ketchup, mustard, and onion. There's the hot dog mascots that run around. And Mustard hasn't won all season. They even sent him down to AAA at some point.
Oh, no.
And he came back. He still never won. So I was telling all of them this, including my 5-year-old nephew, about the hot dog race and all this lore, right?
Sure.
There's time for the hot dog race. And the hot dogs they're running, and it's like dead heat. And then Mustard pushes Onion into ketchup and breaks ahead. The place is going nuts because everybody knows Mustard hasn't won all year. And then Mustard crosses the finish line. Somebody gives him a WWE championship belt. Everyone's freaking out. I'm freaking out. And I look over to my nephew, and with tears in his eye, says, "Mustard cheated." And he just was so indignant and confused that everybody was cheering. He's like, cheating is not nice.
Well,
because it goes against everything he's been taught.
Yeah. Listen, did you just say, listen, the Minottis cheat now? That's what we do.
Shut up. We should have. We were just laughing hysterically because he was going on about it. Like ketchup and onion aren't going to want to play with him anymore if he cheats.
That's sweet, but also incredible win.
That's hilarious.
You guys got to watch Mustard win, though. That's
I was very excited. I love Mustard. I'm a Mustard boy, of course.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Mustard's one of the best foods, I think.
You really got turned on after I took you to Michael Simon's barbecue restaurant in Cleveland, Mabel's, and he had that mustard barbecue sauce, and you kind of just started going on. It was like mustard and vinegar. You're like, I just like vinegar. Vinegar is my favorite food.
And then vinegar and mustard.
Dan doesn't like mustard, Dan.
Of course he doesn't.
It makes me glad that there's somebody who has more of a baby mouth than me, actually.
He's got the most baby mouth, absolutely. Mustard's good, and I'm sure we'll have fun reasons to talk more about that. But first, before we get into this mess, let's explain what we do here. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. Hello, Twitch. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into. Let's start the morning mess with Fandom has acquired leading entertainment and gaming brands, including GameSpot, TV Guide, Metacritic, and Giant Bomb. Wait,
wow,
what?
Bad investment on their part.
Yeah, this is going to be a big mistake. They've given me most of that money, and I'm going right to Vegas, putting it all on black, baby. Putting it all on black.
Are you inviting me to this weird trip also?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to need someone to take... I'm going to be on a bender. You're going to be my designated driver, so congratulations.
Great. I'll dispose of your corpse.
Yay, hooray. And then that will nullify the deal. The deal won't actually be able to close because of that. Okay, let's just talk about this. Let's read a little bit from this press release, but mostly we can just kind of talk about what's happening here. Fandom, the world's largest fan platform, today announced it has acquired a portfolio of entertainment and gaming brands from Red Ventures. That includes GameSpot, Metacritic, TV Guide, GameFAQs, Giant Bomb, Cord Cutters News, and Comic Vine. By combining Fandom's 300, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's what's happening, everybody. We got sold from a company that kind of didn't know what to do with us to a company that wants us. It's that simple. This is, Red Ventures, I kind of was there for a little bit. We had a bunch of ideas about what we wanted to do. everyone was interested in making it happen. It was pretty hard to make it happen for one reason or the other. A good example of what's going to change. There are just already people at fandom who do the things that we need done. The things that would have been like, okay, who are we going to figure out how to do these things? Fandom has teams in place to do those things. This is good for us for the most part. I understand that you've heard that little jig before about, Red Ventures, this is going to be better than CBS. I wasn't there. I can't speak to that. I don't know. I'll just say that, in terms of what we have going on and what we need for now, it seems like a good fit. And it's mostly going to be us still just being Giant Bomb. And then when we do have those ideas, it seems like there are things in place to make things actually happen. Now, I'm sure we'll run it. I mean, it's I could go here and be like, hey, we're all a family and we're all in this together. No, a big corporation sold a bunch of companies to another corporation. It's what happened. You don't actually have to care about those details. If you just show up to Giant Bomb to watch us do stupid stuff, that's going to keep happening. I can't speak to what the ad experience is going to be like or anything like that, but if you like Giant Bomb, it's not changing. And in fact, we're going to be able to do more stuff. So there's some specifics there. Again, nothing I feel like I'm capable of speaking to just because it's not my area of expertise. But they were very much trying to make us feel comfortable about the onboarding. No one on our teams is being let go. This is a good thing. So, Mike, you have any questions for me on behalf of the chat?
No. God, I don't know what the hell's going on. It sounds fine.
Yes. That's exactly. Dan says in chat, anyone who's worried about us doing stupid shit, watch us on Wednesday and just, do a vibe check. Check our moods on Wednesday. You'll get it pretty quickly how we're feeling about all this.
We'll say just, surface level, knowing very little about all of it. If I worked at a vegan company, I'd rather be owned by somebody called Fandom than Red Ventures.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised reaction. Everyone's like, oh, Fandom. And I guess I get that part of it, but we are being sold from what is essentially, a venture capitalist conglomerate thing to someone that at least has a foothold in this space. Now, if it's a foothold that you are happy with, of course, whatever. But no, there have been no conversations about changing anything to be more like that other stuff. We're just they bought us because we are what we are, and so I'm feeling pretty good about being able to continue to do that stuff. I'm trying to think if there's any other big things to touch on. I mean, it was weird. It happened fast, at least as far from my point of view. I'm a big idiot who just shows up and does his job, and then you one day you hear, oh, this is happening, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. So and now it's done. It's over with. I think I'm officially with Fandom now, or at least I'm being leased to them until something is closed here pretty quickly. So,
The one question I'm seeing in chat, Jeff, is there's concerns about the Giant Bomb wiki and what's going to happen to that.
That's a very good question. No one's come and said, hey, we want to absorb this or destroy it or anything like that. But also the wiki has been. The big problem with the wiki is it never had the SEO to gain traction in the way that something like Fandom obviously has. If you go search for a topic and you're looking for answers on a topic on the internet, you're going to get a Fandom wiki. I don't think that, if anything, I think the technology involved in our wiki might be incorporated into what they're doing. I don't think they're going to shut it down, but again, I don't know. I really can't speak to that. I'm sorry.
Jan says isn't going anywhere as far as he knows.
As far as we know, as far as we know, nothing's happening to it. I don't want to make any promises, but it's just no one's been like, well, we got to do something about that Giant Bomb wiki. So it's just not a central focus of the deal here. That's for sure. And I think if we ask, hey, can we just keep it going? No, it doesn't seem like anyone's gonna be like, no, you can't do that. So we're probably gonna keep the Giant Bomb wiki going. I love the Giant Bomb wiki. There's so many great pages where it's like, I wish there was a concept page for this, and it turns out usually there already is. But yeah, I get everyone's concerns otherwise, and we'll try to do our best to keep answering questions. But really, it's going to be, the proof is going to be in the pudding, right? We'll just have to do it, and you'll have to see it and believe us. And that's going to be true for us as well, just going through this experience. Like, is this actually better? Well, we have high hopes, at least. Okay. And then, yeah, I guess the last thing, the transparency, like we always try to do transparency with this stuff. We're trying to do more. It's always hard because we don't always have all the answers. We're still figuring stuff out ourselves. So if you have questions, we'll keep doing our best to answer them when we can. If we are silent on something, don't assume the worst, but we'll try to get out there and give you an answer as quickly as we can. Sometimes that might take some time, though. All right, let's get on to some news that actually matters to you all. Sony is betting big on its next VR headset with increased production plans. This came from a Bloomberg report, and I'm picking up, it was summarized by Dom's Playing on Twitter. Dom's is an analyst that looks into numbers and stuff. Sony could produce 2 million PSVR 2s by the end of Q1 2023. This indicates that executives are upbeat on part availability. Excuse me. The story indicates that executives are upbeat on part availability and supply chain. If you compare that to the original, which debuted in October 2020 or 2016, that sold 1 million by June 2017. That's 8 months. It took 8 months to sell 1 million units. So they are at least seemingly expecting brisker sales than that, or at least trying to meet demand that maybe they thought was there for PSVR 1. Mike, I'm not sure if I am super excited about PSVR 2. I'm not excited about PSVR 2, but that doesn't mean that maybe they won't sell 2 million units. What do you think?
Well, they haven't. That's kind of the confusing thing here, is that they haven't really done enough to get people really excited about it, aside from like some of the very general stuff, like the specs look good, less cords, that's good. Software wise, though, we haven't really been seeing, like, where is that new Astro game? Where is like the deals to get something like a Half-Life Alyx over? We have like this Horizon VR thingy, and when they had to announce some stuff at the State of Play, it was just some like ports of like some things.
Yeah,
it's fine, nothing crazy exciting. We don't have backward compatibility, which, like, I get the technical reason for, but it stings a bit. I guess I'm kind of wondering, man, what is it that's making them so confident in this? And have we just not seen it yet? Or do they think just because PlayStation 5 is huge, and,
right,
this PlayStation VR did okay, and this is just going to do better?
Yeah, is there some model they're using that is, okay, we have this many PS5s selling this fast, PSVR 1 did this, therefore PSVR 2 will do that. And has that ever been true in video games? It's so easy for that to never work out the way you expect it to. Now, maybe you're right. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they are seeing games that are going to blow us away. The technology is impressive, according to people who've used it. Maybe the price is going to blow us away. Everyone's expecting the worst. I'm expecting at least $500 and probably more likely $550, $600. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe they take a big cut, or maybe they take a loss on it and they sell it for 300 or something wild like that. It still seems aggressive, 2 million, but I think that it's not so aggressive that it's out of the realm of possibility. 2 million the first quarter. Some of them may be set on shelves, probably not. They are probably looking at it like we have 2 million PlayStation users who will buy anything we put out, right? That's probably how they're looking at it.
Maybe that might be right, Jeff. I think you might have hit the nail on the head.
And then they can adjust from there. If sales aren't as fast as they think they're going to be, well, you just you pull back a little bit, and if they meet those expectations, you just kind of keep the production lines rolling, and that creates enough PSVR 2s that you can have enough through the holiday. So we'll see. Q1 2023 is coming up real fast. They still think. They still have not said anything other than Q1 of next year for the release date. Dom's is saying he expects it in February. That's his expectation. That sounds right to me. Launch it in February, maybe March. I mean, nothing wrong with a March release for hardware. We've seen that work out well before. So all that said, we probably should be hearing about this thing again. Pretty like a real actual coming out party for the PSVR 2 has to be imminent, which is probably why we do get another State of Play soon, right?
I think so. You have to talk more about this. There's a lot of games after God of War that we don't know very much about, or it seems like they just need to start announcing some things. And also, Jeff, I mean, it's been like, 5 years? When are they just going to finally announce a remake for Horizon Zero Dawn? We've all been waiting for it. So maybe they can finally get on top of that if they have another show in the next few months.
Great news, Mike Minotti. Horizon Zero Dawn remaster for PS5, Horizon Online multiplayer game for PS5 and PC are in development, according to rumors. Mike, were you peeking ahead? That's cheating.
What? No, Jeff, I'm just so in tune with
Your nephew's
going to
be pretty disappointed in you.
He is going to be. He's going to put me on the bench with Mustard, and I'll be happy. I'll be glad to be there.
Yeah, man, I wish I was friends with Mustard. This comes from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Publisher Sony Interactive Entertainment and developer Guerrilla Games are currently working on a remastered version of Horizon Zero Dawn for PlayStation 5, as well as a Horizon Online multiplayer project for PlayStation 5 and PC, according to a report by MP First, Multiplayer First, I think is exactly how you say that. The remastered release will reportedly feature an improved lighting system, overhauled textures, and better animations, as well as new character models to match those found in the sequel, Horizon Forbidden West. The accessibility options, quality of life improvements, and graphics modes of the sequel are also said to be part of the new release. The online multiplayer project is said to feature customizations around the various tribes of the Horizon franchise. However, those details were not verified by a Multiplayer First. All right, you got something to say? You want to share something with the whole class?
I just think it's so funny. I actually think it's hilarious just hearing you talk about how they're remastering this game from like 5 years ago that already runs on a PlayStation 5 at 4K 60 FPS. It has like, pretty good textures, pretty good lighting, pretty good.
I mean, it's available on PC, and really, is there going to be any difference between the PC version running at top settings and this? I mean, I really don't.
I just can't believe we criticized them for Last of Us Part 1, and they're like, "Fuck you! You think we won't? You think we won't do it again?"
Right, they're thinking, like, these fuckers haven't seen shit yet. They just wait until what we do next.
Jeff, this is. Part of me still wants to hear like the official announcement because it's so bananas bonkers to me. I gotta really see it to believe it, even though I believe these reports and rumors.
Yes, this was verified or corroborated by VGC.
But I mean, my God. This game is playable on PlayStation 5 right now.
I mean, is there a way they could do this that it doesn't seem so just laughable? Is it like
if it's really about whatever this multiplayer mode is, and this is some big thing, and it's somehow also not free to play, which sure, and it's like, hey, buy the brand new giant Horizon multiplayer game, and as a bonus, we've like done a little retouching to Horizon 1, and it comes with this. Like maybe that, but I mean, this thing's gonna cost $70.
Oh yeah,
there's no way it's not. So like, I don't know what this multiplayer mode's going to be to justify that on top of this.
It feels desperate. It feels
desperate.
You know what? Here's where I'm starting. I don't care about this. You can do whatever you want, Sony. I don't have to buy this thing. I'll look the other way and go play different video games. I do that all the time, and it's no skin off my back. That's really where I'm at. But if I force myself to like try to figure out what's going on here, it continues to feel like Sony refusing to leave any single dime on the table, and that's like kind of like why are we here? Like why are we in this place where being able to charge $10 more for a game, and I guess honestly it'd probably be a lot more than that because you could get Horizon Forbidden West or Horizon Zero Dawn for cheaper, used or whatever. But getting it up to $70, reselling it, I guess selling it throughout this generation at that price, is that so crucial that it's worth all this effort? Maybe they have methods in place that just makes it so easy that they kind of can't help but do it. Even so, it just looks weird and desperate.
It really does. And part of me wonders if it's just this weird logistical problem with some of these studios that just spend, 5 years now making one game, and there's like some people on the sidelines waiting for some things to happen. And there's not enough people that you can start a whole new project, but maybe you can have them remake something that your studio already remade. So for Naughty Dog's like, yeah, I guess we'll go and remake The Last of Us Part 1. That makes some sense. Dear Guerrilla, well, you're not going to remake Killzone 3. Nobody gives a shit. So I guess you got to go in and touch up the freaking Last Horizon game that you made. And again, like, I understand it's not just like you can have Guerrilla go back and do Bloodborne or do, like Jack and Daxter remake. But PlayStation has all these great franchises and games that are actually kind of stuck on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. So again, just like putting in this work to slightly touch up, and how much more can it possibly be than slightly to touch up this game from 5 years ago that already just looks more than fine. I know I got some flack for saying Last of Us Part 1 is like the original Last of Us was already looking fine on PlayStation 5. People are like, no, there's a lot they can do. Okay, you are just really not going to be able to win that argument with me on this 5-year-old game. I mean, you kind of said this line before, Jeff, about like Doom 2016. Video games almost started looking about as good as they needed to then,
yes,
right? This is slightly after that.
Yep. It runs 1080p 60. It looks like that, and I kind of don't need much more than that, honestly.
Yeah. My biggest hope is just that Nintendo just announces a remaster of Breath of the Wild and releases it the same exact day as this.
Honestly, I was gonna say, and this is me being a total hypocrite. I'll be there for that. Never mind.
Right, yeah.
Never mind. Everything I said is horseshit. Give me that right now. 60 frames per second, 1080p, or even 4K, maybe.
Well, because there's actually some room for improvement.
You're right.
There.
That's the big difference. Yeah.
I know you were joking when you tweeted this.
I am kind of like Marino in chat's like, people beg Nintendo to do this all the time, and he's right. I am begging Nintendo to do a lot of these kinds of remasters.
But the difference is that, but those games aren't playable on Switch right now.
I know.
Well, except for Breath of the Wild, obviously. But I mean, like, like people are making fun, like, well, this is no different than bringing, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, or people are begging for Xenoblade Chronicles X. You can't play Xenoblade Chronicles X on a Switch right now.
Yeah. There's definitely a difference. At the same time, I'm just not going to buy it, and I'll be good.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I could go off on. I don't know why I wish I had your attitude about it. I don't know why it annoys me.
Well, I mean,
so
you're not
much.
the only one. A lot of people feel this way about it. I mean, is it just that it's indicative of some deeper problem? You think it's Sony, or are you one of these people who's like worried that if they're doing this, then that means they're not doing this other thing I want them to do? It doesn't seem like that's where you're coming from.
No, because I do understand like it's just guerrillas, like animators or whatnot. Well, we can't animate the next Horizon. We're not ready for that. So I guess we can kind of go back and touch up the animation Horizon 1. I kind of get it from that point, but like you said, just like the dime pinching of it. It seems like the move, and there's been a lot of this from Sony lately. Seems like desperate moves from like a desperate company that's falling behind or in last place. This is the market leader.
Yeah.
You can't sell PlayStation 5s fast enough, and yet they keep doing things like this or raising the price and desperately trying to fight off this Microsoft ABK acquisition. Just I don't know.
So
some
what's
weird
next?
Moves there.
What's the next one to get a remaster?
Well, I mean, this is literally the thing here is that they do it after the last one comes out. So God of War, the remake or whatever that was on 2019, that'll get like a remake remaster like 6 months or a year after Ragnarok comes out. It'll be that. Like this is their formula now.
I mean, it's a lot of PS4 games that do run great on PS5 now, but maybe could get another coat or whatever. I mean, God of War got like an update for a PS5 version, right? Because God of War came out for PC.
Sure did.
So,
and that sure is that. But to anybody who's saying that must be enough, I mean, that was such a good selling point for the PlayStation 5 was how good the backward compatibility is.
So, Ghost of Tsushima, is that next after, or we have to wait for the sequel to come out?
I think we might have to wait for the sequel. I think we might have to at least wait for the sequel first.
I don't think we're going to have to wait for the sequel very, very soon.
But that doesn't have a PC version yet, even. So we got to get there first.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Good point. All right. Let's keep moving. I'm gonna jump ahead to one. We'll loop back to this other one, Mike. So don't worry, we're not skipping it. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan flew to Brussels to voice concerns to EU over Xbox's Activision deal. And okay, listen. I get it. This is his job. He's supposed to do this. Also has a bit of a desperate ex-boyfriend doesn't consent to the new relationship vibe. Like that's what it feels like. So okay, this comes from Deal Reporter. The Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO personally visited the EU headquarters on September 8 to voice the console rivals' concerns over the proposed $69 billion deal. Nice. As has been widely publicized in recent weeks, PlayStation's concerns over the deal are around the future release arrangements for the Call of Duty series, which is regularly PlayStation's annual bestseller, and whether it will be pulled from their platforms. Google is also reportedly to have stated concerns to EU regulators. And that's the first time we've heard about a non-Sony company stating any sort of issues. What do you think? They're like, but what about Stadia? What do you think they were saying there?
Yeah, God, probably not. They probably just said the word Stadia, and everybody in Brussels just had a good laugh.
Yeah, like, oh, very good one. Good one. I guess, I don't know, any thoughts about this? This is like not to me, another one. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, of course he's trying that. But he's taking it pretty seriously. He's showing up in person to the EU Commission and trying to do something about it. God damn it! Do you think he's going to succeed? Do you think there's any hope for like this strategy?
I mean, you never know. There's a small bit of hope. I mean, gosh, like I understand how regulators work, right? It's just interesting to see him actually go out and personally really get in front of a lot of this stuff where, everything else, everyone just kind of let happen, move to the side for it. And now PlayStation has very much come out. No, we are not okay with this.
Yeah. It still feels like we have not heard any reason to think that the deal is actually going to fall apart, but these are the kinds of things that can slowly move the thermometer in that direction in terms of cooling off these regulators about the idea of approving this. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. So far, Microsoft still seems very confident. They have not gone out and made any claims that they're like, oh, hey, you know what? To make sure this deal goes through, we do want to promise a bunch of other concessions on top of whatever they've already said with Call of Duty. So they still have a lot of tools in their pocket to push this thing through. And we'll see if Jim Ryan forces them into a position where they need to use those, or if they're able to just pull this off without having to make any concessions. Let's hit this last PlayStation story. The PlayStation 5 has been jailbroken. An exploit has opened up the PlayStation 5 to sideloading and package installations with root privileges. This comes from the hackers and the people that are covering this. This release relies on the WebKit vulnerability as an entry point, meaning it will work on any PS5, including PS5 Digital Edition, running firmware 4.03. Lower firmwares might work as well, but you'll need some tweaking to the exploit method. Higher firmwares will not work at the moment. They are not vulnerable to the WebKit exploit. So someone had a video of this and actually had it running, and they kind of show like, oh, we're installing packages, we're doing this thing, and of course it ends like the final frame is them installing PT. So they're able to install kind of whatever they want. That means they're going to be able to install likely pirated games and things like that. This is about the time in a console's generation where things like this do begin to happen. 2 years in is when the jailbreaking really hits its stride. And here we are, PlayStation 5 jailbroken. Do you think this is a concern for Sony?
Oh, I bet they're somewhat concerned about it. Maybe they briefed Jim Ryan on it on the way to his his flight to Brussels or something like that, right?
Yep.
But I don't know, Jeff. This is really much more your area of expertise, all this jailbroken stuff. I mean, I know we've been talking a bit about Nintendo worried about Switch piracy, and that's the reason why maybe a Switch Pro or a Switch 2 does happen sooner than it even needs to, just looking at sales data. But here, I mean, what can they do?
Right. There are methods for fighting back against this to a certain extent. People do need to update their PlayStation 5s pretty quickly to keep playing a lot of games. But people will find ways to, go from one firmware to a previous firmware. There will be ways to make this happen. Honestly, though, they need to just... The big thing is the industry at large is moving away from this being a major concern because so many games are just going... this is why they want live service, free-to-play games at every company, because if they control the methods of commerce within their game, you can only get to it if you do legitimate purchases. And it doesn't matter if you're using an exploited PlayStation 5, you're still going to have a real credit card to make purchases. So they are building in redundancy to prevent these things from hurting them like they have hurt them in the past. At the same time, of course, these companies don't want this. I think it's possible that they could expedite the release of a new PS5 with different hardware protections inside, but really they'll just keep updating the OS, and that'll be the way that they fight against this for the most part. All right, let's see here. Key Disco Elysium devs have reportedly involuntarily exited the sequel. This comes from Jordan Midler at VGC. In a post, actually, hang on, do a quick transition. Everyone, brace yourself. Hey, there we go. All right. In a post to Medium titled "The Disillusion of the Zay Cultural Association," and I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, so apologies. Martin Luiga, who served as an editor on the acclaimed Disco Elysium, claimed that writer and designer Robert Kurvitz, writer Helen, these names, Hidden Pierre, and lead art and design developer Alexander Rostov have all left the company. I would note that neither Kurvitz, Hindepier, nor Rostov are working there since the end of last year, and their leaving the company was involuntary. Mike, this is a situation where basically venture capital came in and took over the studio and now has pushed out the creative leads because they're like, oh, well, we're going to take over this project. And we know that people are just going to show up for a Disco Elysium 2 because that's what they care about, and they don't care about the creators. This is backfired because a lot of people seem to care a lot about these creators. That's not too surprising, but how does this happen? How do people still make this mistake?
Right. Like, I don't know. Venture capitalists didn't really understand how, like, video game players and fans talk online and figure these things out, and that they become these little controversies. I have no idea. It's incredible to think that, like, well, we bought Disco Elysium. Like, we don't need the people who made it to make the sequel. Who cares? It's going to be the easiest thing in the world for all of these people to kind of group together and make a new game and say, like, hey, we're the ones who made Disco Elysium. And, you know, they could probably do pretty well for themselves. It's a baffling move, Jeff. I have no idea why you would just push out the key creative people out. Again, like why buy them?
Yeah.
If you didn't like what they made.
Yes, I mean, the reality is no corporation has ever made a video game. No corporation's ever made anything. Only people can make stuff. And when you behave in a way that you are like, I'm spending money to build up my corporation, and our corporation is going to be the thing that does the next big Disco Elysium, you've already made a crucial error in thinking about how the creative process is even going to work. And so when you push out the actual creative people who actually made the game good in the first place, it's not too surprising. And of course it was going to happen. Of course it's going to ruin what Disco Elysium 2 could have been. The good news is it sounds like a lot of these people will move on to other games and hopefully other projects where their expertise that they've earned from working on Disco Elysium can pay dividends there. Luiga goes on the right. I find that the organization was successful overall, and most of the mistakes that were made were contingent, determined by the socio-cultural conditions we were thrown into, said Luiga.
Classic socio-cultural whatevers.
Right. Definitely written by someone who worked on Disco Elysium. I still encourage people to organize, and I would say that one of the qualities that cultural organization sorely lacked was pretty much any formal structure. He said this is cause, and then the story goes on to say this causes concern for Disco Elysium's sequel. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, when this happens, what can you do as a fan? There's not much other than either hope for the best for Disco Elysium 2, just because you do like that IP, which of course I get as someone who is a fan of a lot of different brands and stuff, whatever. I like Star Wars. The people that make Star Wars now are not the people that made Star Wars before. I still hope for the best for Star Wars. So I get that side of it. At the same time, as I've gotten older, I've been much happier following creators than IPs, and I think that's probably the solution here. Follow the people that made the game, and I think that's been the answer that most people are coming to for this story. Okay, let's see. Halo's developer is reportedly switching to Unreal Engine. I picked this up from Andy Robinson at VGC. That's according to journalist Jeremy Pinter, who wrote on Sunday, I can only confirm that many sources are saying this, and very clearly that it's already been decided, and Halo is for sure switching to Unreal. Jeremy is just the latest person to make this claim. I've not heard this exactly, but what I've heard is a lot of people being like, that based on the conversations they've heard, it fits with what they expect to happen in the future. I don't know how this works, Mike. I think
you can't just...
You can't just switch Halo Infinite to Unreal, right? Yeah.
Right. No, I would assume not. No. And that's supposed to be a 10-year game or something, and we're in, year 2?
Switching Unreal is not going to be a quick thing, though, if they do it. So it could be 5 years before they're ready to do that. So, or they're ready to release a game based on that. Now, obviously, there is the other side of this, and that's the Certain Affinity Battle Royale, which is reportedly using Unreal. Some of the things I've heard is it's always used Unreal. And therefore it was never going to be incorporated into Halo Infinite, which also sounds kind of like, it sounds weird, but it's also like not that strange, because Warzone launches separately from Call of Duty. So yeah, it's just
but
like
Call
that.
of Duty was also doing pretty good and not necessarily desperate for new content, unlike Halo Infinite, which sure could use a new game mode.
Right.
So it's like, well, play the other Halo game instead, and maybe there's no cross progression or none of that shit matters. What?
Yeah. This all stems from a video that was originally put out by a Halo content creator on YouTube named Sean W. Dubs. He made the claim regarding certain affinities switching to the Unreal Engine for Tatanka, which is the code name for the Halo Battle Royale. He also made a bunch of other claims. When I go through like the list of things that he claimed beyond what he speculated about, the things that he said, no, this is what I've heard and tried to verify. Some of those things are not right. So I can't go into too many details there, but some of those things aren't right. And so it's like, well, then is this thing true? But the more I look into this side of it, and I know Jez is looking, and Jeremy is obviously hearing things. To me, it seems like they are going to make this change. And then the question is why? And I think that's the more obvious side of it. Halo Infinite is struggling to get content, like we just said. That's got to be related in part to the tools that they're using. The big thing for me is, has this been a decision made a long time ago and we're just hearing about it, or are they just making it now, right before Forge comes out? Because if that's the case, it's like, man, maybe Forge could have changed your fate here a little bit, and now it feels like no matter what Forge does, and of course Forge being the content, the community content creation tools that people use to make all kinds of levels and game modes for Halo. It's been successful before. It seems like it's really set to take off this time, but kind of no matter what. Well, this is not going to be the long-term future of Halo. That's going to be on a different engine, which will not be compliant with many of these tools in the future.
Yeah, and that's the big question just Forge, because you just spent all this work getting that done, and that had to be complicated to build it with the tools that they had. And it's not like they're going to be able to copy and paste that into Unreal. They're going to have to do all that work again also. And is that going to discourage people also, like, making stuff in Forge for this? Like, well, this has a short shelf life now because there's going to be some kind of Unreal Halo thing coming. I don't know. It's bizarre, Jeff. Everything that's been happening with Halo Infinite and over 343 has been a little bit more than strange last year.
I mean, it's been like it's been weird and it's difficult to talk about. I know, like, Brad Sams was saying no, Bonnie Ross was fired, and then she was like, no, I'm leaving because my family's sick, but I was going to leave. So what is that about? Like, why were you going to leave?
And nobody wants to speculate when it's, you bring in like sad personal stuff like that. I don't want to be like, well, maybe she's lying. Like,
yes, right, know. Exactly. And then Sean Dubs is like, she wasn't lying. She's definitely going to stick around, and she's going to take over Activision. And it's things like that. It's like, how do you even really wrap your head around all of those different variables there? And then at the same time, like, none of that sounds exactly right. This, to me, does feel like we are getting a reboot of what Halo, like, we're getting a reboot of how they make Halo. I know there's a shakeup, there's the reboot, whatever you want to call it. That is happening, and this is evidence of that. Unreal has got to be evidence of that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not switching engines if everything's going okay. And again, like, the most obvious problem with Infinite has been the absolute crawl that it takes to make new content for it. And, like, what else could that possibly be aside from the tools being cumbersome?
Yep. I mean, there was a developer that worked on the game. I think we talked about this on an episode last week, who said, hey, these Forge tools are even better than the tools we use to make the game. Or, like, they're so much easier and better, and now that tweet's been deleted. He's no longer at 343. He moved on from 343 a while ago, but he had used those tools, and then he's looking at Forge and be like, this looks way better, because they were showing how Forge used like a visual triggering system to activate certain events inside the game, and he's like, this looks way better. So it's okay. First of all, how is that possible?
Right? How can you use tools to make better tools?
That's wild.
I guess that's how it works. I guess that's how it works.
I guess that's like right.
I'm thinking about cavemen now.
Yeah, me too. Like, I think they use like stone to make bronze, and then bronze. Like, I played Civ. So what are we talking about?
I guess that is just how it happens, but it still is weird.
It's still frustrating, yeah. Cavemen binging on a Halo. That's what we have here, everybody. All right. PlayStation stars might have a hidden invite-only diamond tier. And Mike, now I gotta have it. How much money do you want, Jimmy Ryan? How much you want from me?
Diamond hands. I'll pay him 10 Last of Us Part 1s.
Well, that might get you into the diamond tier. Sony is currently rolling out their new loyalty reward service, PlayStation Stars. This comes from a Reddit post, by the way. And they've announced that the service has 4 tiers or levels, which a user can progress through to earn additional rewards and benefits. However, according to information in the PlayStation mobile app, there may be yet to be revealed exclusive 5th tier of the service, accessible by invitation only. The fifth tier is called Diamond and has the requirements to reach it listed as invite only to Diamond levels. So the other levels, right? You can get to level 4, tier 4, by buying 4 full price games and like so $280, and then getting a certain number of trophies. I think maybe even platinum trophies. So you got to play a lot, you got to spend a lot. And then if you go above and beyond that, well, then they're going to invite you into Diamond level. And I don't know. You're not allowed to talk about what happens behind the scenes at Diamond level. It's going to
that's weird. You don't want to know, really.
Yeah, exactly.
This is mostly for people in regulatory bodies that have the power to block the Activision Blizzard deal. This is what he's like.
Jim Ryan flying to Brussels, handing out invites to Diamond level to all those EU Commission members. Be like, hey, listen, I got you. We got some real nasty stuff back there for you.
Front of the line customer service.
Yes, exactly. If you know what I mean. Front of the line.
They really did not come out and deny that, by the way. The customer service thing. They didn't say that's not true.
Yeah, we thought they were going to like reverse it, and they just like, now fuck them.
That's real. Like
PlayStation seems in a fuck 'em mood recently, right? Kinda. I don't know. Their games are good. Their system is awesome. PlayStation 5 is a great thing to play good games on. It's kind of all that matters.
I love the PS5. They make a lot of good games. And to put some, there's so much tribalism lately. I bet people just from this episode be like, these guys really have helped PlayStation. I'm like, they're doing a lot of weird
they're just
shit
doing a lot
now.
of fuck 'em stuff. What do you want from me? Like, isn't it obvious? Like,
yeah. I mean, they literally just raised the price of the system. I don't know how they could possibly spin that. It's like, well, actually, yeah, I'm glad they did that because they need to get theirs.
Man, I wish Xbox Murderer was here to give us some money. All right.
You really do need to turn on super chats.
Super chats just for him.
Gonna build it into the system just for.
That's an inside joke. If you're not familiar, don't worry about it.
Everybody. We have on our shows we have a I almost feel bad giving him a spoiler. We have a user named Xbox Killer who just constantly tips because of super chats. You can you can send a comment to us and we'll read on the air if you give us money because yes, that's how we do things.
I like money.
He constantly gives us money just to call us Xbots and shields and stuff like that. And I mean, he's given us probably like $500 total at this point to get with us. Right. So we love it. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's the best. So yeah, turn that on over here. Activision's controversial CCO will step down ahead of Microsoft acquisition. Bloomberg reports that Townsend, who is that former Bush cabinet member, I can't remember exactly, has decided to step down ahead of the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft, which the deal's worth almost $70 billion.
The torture lady. Thank you,
the torture lady. Exactly. No one wants to say $69 billion. They either say the exact amount or $70 billion, and I'm sick of these cowards. While Townsend is stepping down, she will act as a senior advisor to the company's board and chief executive, Bobby Kotick. What the fuck? Why? Why do you need this person to tell you anything, Bobby Kotick? What? I really just... Rich people life, like their way of thinking is so alien to me where it's like, okay, yeah, you did a shitty job as CCO. Got to keep paying you to be my advisor and tell me how to do more shitty jobs. Townsend, who previously served as the assistant for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism to President George W. Bush, had been executive vice president for corporate affairs and chief compliance officer at Activision Blizzard since March 2021. In her role, she oversaw Activision Blizzard's communications, blah, blah, blah. However, Townsend found herself under fire in response to the Department of Employment and Fair Housing lawsuit against Activision Blizzard, which accused the company of failing to properly address reports of harassment and discrimination. And she wrote that letter that was like, nuh-uh. She wrote the nuh-uh letter.
She's like, I'm sure I speak for everybody at Activision Blizzard when I say I am furious about this. Yes. And everyone's like, no, we're all very concerned.
So yeah, and she's the torturer. She wrote like the memo about like, oh, why torture rules, basically. So got to keep her on the payroll, Bobby. Definitely.
I mean, her and Bobby are probably just friends.
Absolutely,
they're probably just friends.
Running the same circles, right? I'm sure they do.
He's like, well, I don't want her out of my clubhouse. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would look bad when we all get together at the clubhouse on Tuesday afternoon, whenever the fuck they would go to the clubhouse. I don't want to cause any ripples there. Obviously, we're going to keep her on. She's doing a great job.
She's on their Sea of Thieves team, exactly. Or whatever.
All right. Tencent is reportedly refocusing on aggressively seeking full game company acquisitions. I want to talk about this one. So this is from Julie Zhu and Jiaxi at Reuters, and I swear I didn't spell it out phonetically, Mike. You don't tell them any differently.
You good, Jeff.
Tencent is resetting its M&A strategy to put more focus on buying majority stakes, mainly in overseas gaming companies, as the tech giant eyes global expansion to offset slowing growth at home in China. And this is according to people with direct knowledge of the matter. Tencent has for years invested in hundreds of up-and-coming businesses, mainly in the onshore market. It has typically acquired minority stakes and stayed invested as a passive financial investor. However, it is now aggressively seeking to own majority or even controlling stakes in overseas targets, notably in gaming assets in Europe, the four people with direct knowledge of the matter told Reuters. So this is something I speculated about when Sean Layden went onto the an advisory role at Tencent. We talked about how for years and years, Tencent was doing acquisitions in a very Chinese way, which for people who are unaware, and I say this every time it comes up, but we'll just repeat it. It is to make minority investments and then stand back and let the companies run as they always have. That is very typical of many Chinese companies that operate the way Tencent does. It's very typical for Tencent specifically. I thought like bringing on Sean Layden and looking at the reality on the ground in China, where they have been struggling to get games approved, and the market there is so uncertain because the government is so hostile to video games. The Communist Party is very hostile to both games and to Tencent specifically. I mean, more so everyone else than even Tencent, but also Tencent. So it's like maybe they are looking to break out into a wider, more hands-on, more sure thing in the wider gaming market across the globe. And Sean Layden could give them some legitimacy in those conversations, where it's like, first, he knows everybody, especially in Europe and the United States, so he can like set up meetings, but he can also like help you, like you understand what it's like to turn into a Sony PlayStation like company. It sounds like that's exactly what they are going to go for going forward. So Tencent's new strategy indicates how China's tech titans, so this is back to the report, tech titans are looking to emerge from the regulatory shadows after 2 years of crackdown and uncertainty that weighed on their sales at home and triggered a massive sell-off in their stock. So this is their big response. Mike, does it feel like we are just nowhere near the end of big acquisitions? Like we thought there was going to be a slowdown because of the economy, because of the uncertainty, because Microsoft already made a big one, so that maybe they'll slow down. But now we have this happening. We have the Saudi Aramco's Savvy gaming group, whatever, promising to make a $13 billion acquisition on top of a bunch of $18 billion of minority acquisitions. Nothing's going to slow down on this front, right?
No. It seems like there was a little bit of a lull there. And like maybe there will actually be a slowdown in terms of Microsoft and Sony, although Microsoft even says no to that. So, yeah, probably not, Jeff. The question is just who's going where? What is up for sale? Yeah. And who's going to end up with what? That's kind of what I am pondering at this point, because there's a big video game companies. There aren't a lot of options. So like, one of these ones that it feels weird for a Sega to have a new owner or Capcom or an Ubisoft, but somebody's got to fall.
Yeah. And it's, it makes sense for Tencent, who's trying to bide their time, trying to outlast whatever happens. And I mean, eventually I think their hope is the Communist Party will get burnt out on standing against games, and maybe some new leadership can help unfreeze what is essentially a frozen process of improving games for that marketplace there. But in the meantime, and even if they do a different strategy in the meantime, like you do go out and acquire a Sega or whatever, no idea what they actually would acquire. But let's say they do that, that could help them if they turn back to China and say, oh, now we have all this content that could do very well here, and we are still the ones that are best positioned to take advantage of that. So even with Google, clearly stumbling out of the space, which is no guarantee that they won't still turn around and make a big acquisition. Who knows? There's still obviously Microsoft. There's still Sony, but then there's Amazon, Tencent, Savvy, Embracer, which could be operating separately from Savvy in Saudi Arabia, or could get acquired by them. Who knows? But there's a lot of companies out there still trying to make this stuff happen. So it's kind of still going to be a buying frenzy. Maybe not as hot as it once was, but for the foreseeable future still. Yes.
I'm glad your child somehow managed to find a tiny American flag to wave around while you were talking about the Chinese Communist Party.
Thanks, kiddo. You're always on point. She was supposed to be playing Mario.
No, she likes America more than Mario, right. Jeff.
That's
like
good.
You.
Good girl. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna get to the poll. I'm trying to see if did I miss anything. I think we got everything. You know what?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say we could do some Grubb Snacks questions, but
yeah, we can. I'm feeling a little wistful though, Jeff. I think we're like 10 minutes away from the actual closing of Overwatch 1.
Oh yeah, you played some of that last night. How did that go?
It was fun. I kind of got like a lot of my old groups back together that we used to play a lot with, and we played for a couple hours last night, and it was good times. It's weird how like it was almost kind of emotional, like because I played I think like over 760 hours of that game. So I probably played good chunk.
I probably played 300-ish hours of it. I played a lot of that game. I had a really, really good time with it. It was never one of my Call of Duties or my Titanfalls, which all those I put, many of the Call of Duties and both the Titanfalls I put 1,000 hours into at least. That was not Overwatch, but Overwatch definitely was the closest one since any of those games. So it is going to be strange that when you boot up Overwatch 10 minutes from now, like you said, going forward.
I think tomorrow, was when we.
Starting. So it's closing in 10 minutes, and then the new one launches tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's right. So
from 10 minutes in the future until going forward, when anyone plays Overwatch, it will not be Overwatch. It'll be Overwatch 2. It'll be something slightly different. It'll be this slightly different. And maybe that's true for a lot of games that get updates. Dota has gotten major changes. I mean, this is maybe no different than that. Still, it feels a little bit strange.
Right, exactly. And, there's all those points, and I do get that. And it is ultimately going to be similar enough that it's not like I miss Overwatch. I'm sure I'll be fine. But it is a little strange. And it is like, at least right now, maybe this will pass. It seems like there's a lot more people who are sad about Overwatch 1 ending as opposed to being excited about Overwatch 2 coming right now. I don't know. This whole thing's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm still not one of those people who think like Overwatch 2 is doomed. I bet it's going to do pretty good. It's probably going to be a lot of people playing it, especially at least at first because it's free to play. So why wouldn't you try it, I suppose? But yeah, I had a lot of good memories of Overwatch 1. I was a big Team Fortress Classic guy. That was like that was really my first online shooter growing up. So something like that kind of iterated on that experience. Like Overwatch was great. Some people are saying it's already died for them, so that might be the case. Might already be offline, but yes, just
Addy, wave that flag again for Overwatch. Wave the flag for Overwatch.
Wave for Overwatch. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, kiddo.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I asked this poll on Friday, is cloud gaming still inevitable? 56.2% said yes, 43.8% said no. I try to always leave like a lot of room for people to interpret these questions however they want. One reason I do that is I'm incredibly lazy and I don't want to think about like the lawyer version of these questions too much. And number two, it's like, I just kind of want to get a gut check on this. When I look at this question now, I'm like, it is still inevitable. It is, in terms of it'll be an option out there. I don't think it's inevitable in the way that Google Stadia made it feel like, or tried to make it feel like at the time when it was launching, right?
No, not. It's weird, Jeff. At first, when I saw this poll, I like emotionally said no. I've always poo-pooed cloud gaming, but it's like what's inevitable? Like 200 years from now, are we gonna have tiny box play games? I mean, what the hell does video games even look like then? Yeah. But let's do a slightly smaller scale. Maybe 30 years from now, I assume we'll still be playing video games. I mean, you would think maybe this cloud stuff will be more promising then. I don't know. Everybody always seems way more excited about this and tells themselves we're ready now. People have been doing that since the OnLive days in like 2006, Jeff. And it's just kind of bananas to think that we were actually like, we had companies actually trying to make money on cloud gaming in 2006. So at some point, it's going to keep being an option. It's going to be better options. But there's still something so attractive about console gaming, and as console games can get smaller, and maybe we can have those cheaper models too. I don't know. I still don't quite understand.
I think it's philosophical at a certain point for a lot of people, where it's just we evolved as like gatherers, and we like having our little collection of nuts in our hut or whatever. This. And it's just like being able to say that is mine feels really good. And cloud gaming, even though obviously you don't really own a lot of the digital games, whatever, I go to my Steam. That all feels like mine. I don't care what
those are your nuts.
Those are my nuts. I don't care what you say. Those are my nuts. Cloud gaming is so abstract. It takes that away, and it feels bad. And so you have to go against that, and then you have to go, okay, so we need to find an audience that doesn't care about that. And of course, there are a lot of people who don't care about that, but then you got to get over the hurdle of how do they access the game? Sure, they have the internet, and they have great internet, let's just say. Do they have a controller laying around? Are they going to go through the process of connecting that controller to their TV or to their Wi-Fi to play Google Stadia? No. They're really not going to do that, actually. People put their phones into a VR headset, like that thing. The number said a bunch of people did it once and then never again because it was just kind of a hassle to set up. People don't like doing those sorts of things. So any sort of friction, I mean, even like remember like the early days of Unity games on the web. I don't know if people remember this. Like Unity was like one of its things is you could run it in a browser or something like that, but you had to like go through a bunch of clicks to approve things and say that you weren't worried about the security and all this stuff. And then you had to go like download a big thing, and it like then it ran in the browser, but all of that was enough to make it not work and was enough to cause it to be like, this is too much friction. We need a smoother way of doing things. And then HTML5 came and fixed a lot of those things. So every little bit of friction is enough to push people off, and especially for that audience. And then for all of us, we like our nuts. We love the nuts here at Fandom's Giant Bomb. Mike Minotti, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, man.
You're welcome, Jeff. Do we have a new poll? I'm excited to see.
Yes, we do.
Oh, wait.
I'm going to get it up right now. While I do that, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, unless there's something else?
Well, I was just wondering, like, when's the next Game Mess mornings? You're traveling to New York. Like, when is the next one?
I would really love the idea of doing them on for the rest of the week. It's just not going to happen with the schedule. And I've not set up a process to have guest hosts yet. In the future, we will do that, especially as we like. We're getting a new owner. I'm hoping that we can get some, revenue coming in through this show, through ads and stuff. I know you guys don't have to care about that. This is where my mind's at. And when that happens, obviously we'll have to keep the show going, even when I'm not available.
You gotta be careful saying that ad word, Jeff. Maybe you need to specify what you mean by that, because especially fandom, some people think about those.
It's going to be a giant thing in front of the screen that when you try to scroll away from it, it chases you and follows you. No,
that's exactly what we mean.
It's just going to be podcast ads, is what I mean. Like it would just be me like doing a quick ad break and stuff, just like any other show. At least that's what I view it. Honestly, we don't know right now. I'm just saying this is what I'm thinking in my head. Once that happens, we'll have to keep doing the show even on days when I'm not here. So in the future, we'll come up with a process for that. This week, though, this is the last show for this week. I will be back on maybe Friday, but probably Monday. No promises. So let's just say Monday for sure. So I guess that means let's do this poll now and we'll just answer it then. Are you as excited about PSVR 2 as you were for PSVR 1? And Game Mess Mornings. I'm going to ask Yoda. Let's ask Yoda real quick. And then, Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
Tokoto on Twitter and Twitch. I am managing editor at GamesBeat.com. Keep checking out GamesBeat. I got Last of Nintendo tomorrow without Jeff, so that's going to be fun. I actually got Rebecca Stone coming on from Twin Infinite and the Nintendo Shack podcast. So, I'm trying to decide if she's an honorary Nintendo or she's going to be the Nintendo cat for the show this week.
Yoda, are you more excited for PSVR 2 than you were for PSVR 1?
Yes, I sense this is.
All right, you heard it from Yoda. He said yes, everybody.
He says yes.
He says yes.
I sense this is.
All right.
That's very good.
Yes, he's just a magic 8-ball, but it's
I can't
Yoda.
believe that this incredible Giant Bomb poster got created because somebody shared AI work of Columbo in that style. And
it just clicked in my brain. I'm like, I need this. I need this. And I'm like, put the Brooklyn Bridge in the back and we're good. We're set.
Fantastic. So. It's so good.
Thanks again, Mike, for hanging out. I had a really good time talking with you about video games today.
Yeah, I hope that you and everybody at Giant Bomb has a great time and your giant show thing, your giant bombathon. Have a Coke Zero and think of me, Jeff.
I absolutely will. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's always great to do this show. Great way to kick off the week. Great way to kick off a week where a lot of changes are happening, but we could still just be like, hey, let's talk about some video games and feel good about it. You're the best audience in gaming, and we're going to keep it that way. So, like I said, we're not the family thing. We're not really a family, but we are. I still feel like a connection. I still feel like we all care about the same thing, and there's a lot of connective tissue there. That's the part I really care about. So keep tuning in for these shows. I'm going to keep doing them. Until next week for Game Mess Mornings, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
You're my family. Salute mi familia.
Salute mi familia.